The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. What is wrong with us as Africans? Slavery is something that we think is the portion of the African. We don't have any other thing to do for ourselves rather than to continue to be slaves. Or what actually is the problem of Africa? Like Joshua Mamponga one time said, it took only 10 to 15 yellow pawpaw to come into Africa to demarcate Africa, and it's taken over 1.5 billion people to undo what these people did. According to reports, the United States of America signed some health data deal with some 9 African countries so that they can be giving out their health data of their citizens to the United States of America, because Trump said they want to protect the citizens of the United States of America. The US government has signed health deals with at least 9 African countries, part of its new approach to global health funding, with agreements that reflect Trump administration's interests and priorities are geared towards providing less aid and more mutual benefit. The agreements signed so far with Kenya, Nigeria, and Rwanda, among others, are the first under the new global health framework, which makes aid dependent on negotiations between the recipient country and the USA. According to report, for now, it's only the Kenyans that are fighting against this deal. A lot of countries are mute because you know how they always try to package these things to us. So at the end of the day, the African will just accept these things without fighting, without knowing the consequences. Because this information that will be collected on you will be given to their companies. How can we be in Africa and our health issues will be somewhere else? What is wrong with us as Africans? And this is something that all of us in Africa must fight against, because more countries are going to be joining. So we shouldn't sit there and say, because it is not in my country, we don't need to fight against it. Because gradually, they are going to succeed in getting all these countries, because per report, these countries that are signing these deals are affected with the AIDS that the United States of America cut. And for that matter, we are finding it so difficult to survive, which is not true.
A Kenyan High Court has put a temporary freeze on the implementation of a $2.5 billion health partnership deal with the US. The Kenya-US Health Cooperation Framework was signed barely a week ago in Washington, making Kenya the first country in the world to join Trump's rebranded Global Health Program. Under the controversial deal, the US would provide $1.6 billion, while Kenya would provide the remaining amount. However, that's not where the concern is. The deal reportedly allows the US to access all health data and sensitive medical records of Kenyans. That's why the Consumers Federation of Kenya, COFEC, an independent consumer protection organization, filed a petition at the court in Nairobi. It argues that the deal could also compromise national security. Based on this, Justice Bahati Mwamuye of the High Court issued an order suspending the program until the case is adequately heard and concluded. The 5-year health framework was signed by Kenya's President William Ruto and US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, with officials from both countries present. Ruto and Rubio hailed the deal as a positive step towards improving Kenya's health sector, but critics say it makes the East African country vulnerable to US manipulation. Kenya is not the only country that signed such an agreement under Trump's America First global health strategy. Rwanda had signed a similar deal of $228 million with the US last week, and Uganda became the latest to join with $2.3 billion agreement on Thursday. More countries around the world are expected to sign, including Zambia, which recently signed mutual deals with Washington, reportedly as a prelude. The Trump government says the program is aimed at combating infectious diseases in countries that align with its broader foreign policy goals. But at the same time, the initiative allows Washington greater access to critical mineral resources in those countries. The framework effectively replaces programs under the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, which Trump scrapped claiming they were not in favor of the US and its citizens.
As Africans, I believe we are underreacting. The United States has just signed a deal for the America First health policy where they get to monitor African countries for 25 years. These are the countries that have already signed on for the Memorandum of Understanding. There is no news coverage about any of these countries except for Kenya, whose citizens are pushing back, but none of the other countries are pushing back. And I'm going to show you what's in the document because they just released a 40-page message to the American people on what this looks like. Let me show you. This is when you open the document. It is the America First Global Health Strategy. There's like a bunch, but this is the letter from Shortman Rubio. And I want you to pay attention to this part right here. You can read the whole thing if you want. I want you to pay attention to the last paragraph, okay? Right here. It says, we will continue to be world leaders and the most generous nation in the world, but we will do so in a way that directly benefits the American people and directly promotes our national interest. Why, as an African country, would you sign a document that says that you're going to put another country's interest above your own? You can go through the whole document. They go through several points. The first point, making America safer by surveilling. This part's my favorite. The United States will continue to engage bilaterally to the maximum extent possible to strengthen global security for disease threats and increasing focus on countries where the outbreak is at a high risk. By maximum intent is crazy because that means they're willing to do anything and everything to keep Americans safe, disregarding African lives. And African countries just signed this. Yay. And then my favorite part of the whole document, it is the commercial partnerships with private and public US companies. The agreement is between two governments, but this part is for the United States handing over health data and sensitive information on Africans to private and public US companies. That's not gonna go wrong for the African people. I'm so pissed off that these African countries signed this because why?
So the US and Ethiopia have just signed a $1.6 billion health cooperation agreement covering the years of 2026 all the way up to 2030. And this isn't just a small grant. The plan is to transform healthcare nationwide. Some of the key areas of focus on this agreement include HIV and AIDS, malaria, maternal and child health, and polio eradication. This deal is a partnership co-investment between both countries. The US have agreed to give over $1 billion in US aid, and Ethiopia will put down $450 million. This agreement plans to strengthen domestic health systems, data medicine supply, and workforce, in the hopes that it brings better healthcare for millions and long-term sustainability. As right now, millions of people in Ethiopia struggle to access basic healthcare, from maternal care all the way to life-saving treatment for malaria and HIV. Years of conflict, disease outbreaks, and underfunded clinics have pushed the system to the edge. And maybe this $1.6 billion deal could be a turning point for millions of people. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below about this whole situation.
Government is selling your data, medical data, to the United States of America and selling your data also to private-owned pharmaceuticals company in the USA. For some of you that don't know, Trump dismantled AIDS by 70% since he came on seat, right? And he launched American First Global Health Strategy deal. And that deal lasts for 25 years, where your government would give them access to all your medical records. 25 years. For 25 years, these people will be collecting your data. And almost 10 countries have signed this deal. And Nigeria is part of it. They get direct access to National Health Database, electronic medical record, lab system, literally everything. So we are not just sharing data. We are not sharing data with them, just so you know. We are giving them our data. And what does this mean? This means that whenever there is a big disease like Ebola, these people already know what they need to do because they have your data. All they need to do is to create an expensive drug that you cannot afford, and if you cannot afford that drug, you're going to die. Profit goes to them. So they already have your data. It's just so sad that a lot of countries like China are trying to cover up their data. They're trying to keep their data a secret, and Africans are giving it out for. They paid Kenya 2.5 billion naira to sign off that deal. And that deal happened just in 2 weeks. There was no parliament debate, no public consultation. So you that they are selling your data, your personal data, there's no consultation for you. You don't need to even know about this. All they just did was just to go to Washington, D.C. and sign off and sign your data off. And here's the crazy part. So when you cancel this deal, when you've already signed, and when you decide, oh, we're no longer doing this again, they still have your data for the next 10 years. They can still access your data for the next 10 years. And it's in the contract. A lot of people are not talking about this because I don't even blame them. They don't even know this is going on. They don't know. This document came out just for the Americans to see what is going on, not just for Africans to see. And then it's crazy that some of Africans started stumbling on those documents. That is why I know what I know right now. So these other companies, they are not even, the reason why Kenyans are fighting this back is because it got leaked and they knew this. And that's why they are fighting this back right now, because some people sued that it's a violation of a human rights, private, whatever. And this is even one of the crazy parts, is that your government that signed this deal, they would also co-fund this survey. They will pay for it, billions from your budget, and they will co-fund it. Why they are sending one of the most important and the most valuable resources you can have in this century. So for 25 years, your history, your family's health history, your databases, your aids, literally everything, they have power to it. And that is not even just the end, because already our data, our normal data, like from social media, the networks and everything, they already have that. Now they are coming for our health. And what would happen is that after they are done collecting our data, they create something else. And when this disease comes to Africa, they will sell a medication to you and they will get billions from it, and they will still come back and give you aids and still collect something else from your government in return of that aid they are giving you. It's very, very embarrassing. Like I said, this information did not go out because our government put out a press release for these things. Our government are literally not saying anything to its citizens. The reason why we saw this document is because the American government decided to put out a statement so their people, American people, to get access to this knowledge. And Africans are coming to get the knowledge too, and it's just very surprising. The reason why you are not seeing this right now, on TikTok, is because it's not a public knowledge. And I'm very disappointed and I'm very angry. I never wanted to post anything bad about because it's the Christmas season, but this is very, very annoying. Very, very annoying.
Now, Kenya has been the first country in Africa to sign a 5-year deal with the US. Hii deal affect specifically your health. Your medical data is at risk of being handed over to a foreign government in exchange of 1.6 billion in the next 25 years. In this framework, gavaitu kishaekewa hii kichele itapea US government full access to Kenya's entire national health database. In short, ukipimwa TB, HIV, malaria, etc., hiyo data yako iko accessible to US officials. Bado kwa hii deal, kuna a very funny clause enye imeandikwa, and it says, this agreement shall be implemented in accordance with the US federal law. This basically means your data itakuwa managed by the American law. In short, kwa hii shughuli, Kenyan courts will be completely powerless when it comes to decision making. All this is happening in this day and age when data is our day-to-day currency. According to the law, health information is confidential unless you write a written consent. If you ask a common learned mwananchi, atakwambia this deal is unconstitutional, and I'm going to take you through the laws it violates. Number 1, the Digital Health Act. Number 2, the Kenya Data Protection Act. And lastly, the Health Act confidentiality provisions. Imeviolate hizo tatu na bado ikapitishwa without your public participation. So we niambie, kama Mkenya, do you really have your data protection rights? Haya, hii data yote inapeanwa, inaenda wapi? Now, gava ya US inaenda kushare data yako with 10 pharmaceutical companies. Wanashare mbona? Ati ndio watumie data yako kudevelop drugs and vaccines. You might ask yourself, ni nini inge happen kama gava yetu ingeamua kukata hiyo proposal? Inasemekana failure for our government to comply with this deal, gava US ingejikata with both their funding and services. So, have we been blackmailed to sign a deal this confidential? Mimi na wewe tunajua how data privacy is important and how data sharing also has its bad side. So, why would we jeopardize our data in exchange of what? 1.6 billion? I really don't think we're headed in the right direction. Time will tell though. Uzuri, nishakupeleka na rada. Repost this video so that it can reach as many Kenyans as possible. You all need to wake up.
Our leaders are proving to these people that we can never live without them. What are they giving to us in the name of their aid that our resources cannot give to us? These are the leaders who go and be standing and be giving us speeches, and you will see how the Africans will help these leaders trend because of the speech they give to us. But our leaders will never, in actual sense, do the needful. South Africa is not part because we know the beef that is happening between them. And this is a very good move because we don't need to continue to be giving everything of ours to these people. For how long, Africa? For how long will we continue to be doing this to ourselves? We need to wake up as Africans. It's not everything these people package on the surface to you that you need to accept. Our leaders will go to any length to continue to please these people because they'll always threaten them, if you don't do this, we are going to do this to you. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have proven to us that the African don't need these people to survive. Like these ones in the democratic elected are making it look as if that without them, we cannot survive. Look at the youth of today. We all believe in these people so much. That is the reason to which we are dying on the Mediterranean Sea. We are dying on the Mediterranean Sea simply because we believe that Africa is hell. They told us there's nothing in Africa. But when you finally arrive there, then you realize the heaven you have left. Nigeria, Africa's most populous country, reached a deal but with an emphasis on Christian-based health facilities. Although it has a slight majority Muslim population, Rwanda and Uganda, which have deportation deals with the US, have announced the health pact. Cameroon, Eswatini, Lesotho, Liberia and Mozambique also are among those that have signed health deals with the United States. According to the Center for Global Development, a Washington think tank, the deal, quote, combined U.S. funding, reduction, ambition, co-financing, expectation, and a shift towards direct government-to-government assistance, end of quote. The deal represents a reduction in total U.S. health spending for each country, the center said, with annual U.S. financial support down 49% compared with 2024. What is wrong with us as Africans? Under its deal, Nigeria, a major beneficiary of USAID funds, will get support that has a strong emphasis on Christian faith-based healthcare providers. The U.S. provided approximately $2.3 billion in health assistance to Nigeria between 2021 and 2025, most through USAID. Official data shows. Now, even if they are coming to you as an African, they are using religion to divide you, as if what they are even giving to us is something better than what we have here as Africans. They succeeded in making sure we lose trust in everything. We have medicines here. Our plants are healthier that can cure diseases. But because they brainwash you, the African, you believe this our health medicinal plants are rather concoctions. Because those ones are not packaged in the name of the oppressor. We need to wake up as Africans. And we cannot continue to allow the leaders to be doing everything. We need to resist this deal because this is not going to help us in any way. And they'll continue in spreading it to the other African countries. That is why they are making sure that they don't lose democracy in Africa. Because it is through that system they are able to control you, the African. These things cannot be sent to Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso because they know the kind of leaders that they have there. They can never manipulate them because they are no longer under that system that they are using to suppress the African. We need to wake up. The time is now. We have slept for a very long time. And calling yourself a Pan-African is not in speech, it's by action. Rising to defend everything that is of the African and making sure that the African is Africa, do everything Africa, like we are seeing in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, doing away with everything of the colonizer. This is what we call a Pan-African. Not those who go and stand in their presence and give speeches, but at the end of the day, still send us back to them to continue to do what they want to us. For how long will we continue with this kind of narrative, my brothers and sisters in Africa? The time is now for you and I to rise and fight against it. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world and in Africa.